Hello there everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joesephyr and welcome to the first time I'm actually making a video that talks about the live letter that we've just had for patch 6.1 over in Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. And as you can see, I'm back healthy, safe and sound from my week away, and I thought I would start my tenure back with something a little bit different. So if you'd like to know more about what's coming up in 6.1 in FF14, all of the lovely things that we have to expect from the patch and the little tidbits and details that we got that we didn't have previously, then of course, as always, stay tuned and keep on watching. Now before we get started on this, a quick shout out to my Patreon and everyone who supports this channel over on there. Without you guys, I wouldn't have this channel or the means for me to do some of these things that are a little outside my comfort zone. So I hope that you guys enjoy this, and if you do, then don't forget to click that subscribe button and the notification bell, because I am fighting against the algorithm here by stepping outside my comfort zone a little bit and having that notification live so that people know when any videos that I have coming out is active. Then it does help me out a great deal. And of course, with my Patreon, I do always shout out one of my patrons every time I release a brand new video, and today that person is going to be Ultra Flash Flare, who is one of my Ultimate tier Patreon members and has Alize as their title card, which is a hand-drawn one by me, and a massive thank you goes out to you for supporting this channel as much as you have. It means the absolute world to me. And of course, a big thank you to Joesephyr and the FF14 team for providing us with this information and for providing us with such a wonderful game. So let's get started as to what we actually saw within the live letter. Now, it was obviously very long, so I will try to keep the video shorter where I can so that we can keep all the information in one place for you guys. So we were first of all shown a trailer, and a link for the trailer will be shown in the description box below as well, that showcases a lot of what we can expect from 6.1. So in the MSQ, we get to talking with Tataru, we get to see Estinian, who's got a map that's going to somewhere we don't know yet. We have Ishtola, who's talking about a reflection of the source and traveling to it. So lots of tiny little bits of information that kind of bring home the fact that we're going to be following each of these characters kind of individually as they go through their trials and tribulations before we come to a whole. Though there are some bits that were very interesting, particularly with regards to the Alliance raid and the fact that it looks like we're going to be tackling the 12 themselves. I know I saw Biogot's sort of insignia on the hammer of one of the bosses there. We have the Gemini twins at the end, so we've got Nalthal. There's going to be lots of really cool stuff that comes from the Alliance raid, but we have more details to come from that. So a lot of this stuff we do already know. So we have the patch date, first of all, which is April the 12th. So I'll be sure to be streaming that when it comes around, and that's a date for everyone to keep in their books to keep free for this, for the MSQ and all of that good stuff as well. And I do want to also give a quick shout out before I continue to Crumpets, who consolidated all the information while I was trying to kind of click and sort of screen grab as much as I possibly could, and having this information consolidated is actually very helpful. So a big shout out to Crumpets for that, and to obviously the translation team over at FF14 Reddit as well for providing us with more detailed information. So in 6.1 we're getting new MSQ, new side quests which include the Tataru's Grand Endeavor, but that isn't necessarily going to come out straight away with 6.1, and we're told that the reason that it's being sort of put back a little bit, it's a deliberate choice, because releasing them like next to the MSQ might throw some players off as to what they should be doing and when. We're getting new role quests as well, and I don't know about you, but I actually haven't finished all of my role quests in Endwalker because I've been focusing on Savage Raiding. So that's going to give me reason to go back and do that as well. And in the trailer, we also saw some of the characters that feature in those role quests, whether they're just going to be used for trusts or whether there's going to be more to it with the role quests, I don't know. Then we're going to get some new tribal quests over when we get to patch 6.15, as well as the new Hildebrand adventures, which is something a lot of people have been looking forward to, as well as custom deliveries, which will be accompanied by Emeliance Levailleur. And honestly, depending on whether we can dress up Emeliance or not, I can kind of see all of the kind of outfits people are going to come up with her, and that concerns me mildly, but suffice to say, mine will be a fierce diva and none of the weirdness. And then we're also going to get some backstory to Omega and Alpha as well, as we saw in the trailer as well, from Omega Beyond the Rift, which is 6.1X, which means it's released slightly after 6.1. So there's lots of cool stuff that's going to be coming about between patch 6.1 and 6.2 as well. We were shown off a lot of the new sort of duty support system, so the trust system that's been changed a lot. And we do also know all about the changes that are being made to the main scenario quest. So main scenario roulette is being changed significantly. We no longer have Netflix and chill roulette with Praetorium because it's being split up into multiple things. This is all information that we did already know. However, we were shown, like I said, some of the stuff from the duty support system. So we get from anything that goes from the 2.0 down to anything from A Realm Reborn, you have your party kind of laid out for you. And it's not the Scions like you've seen in Shadowbringers, an Endwalker, or any other characters. These are kind of generic characters, if you will, that will accompany you so that you don't get overwhelmed with a bunch of characters that you're getting to know at the same time whilst you're trying to get through the game. But the purpose of it is so that anyone who is playing through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and onwards from the point from 6.1's release means that you can play pretty much the entire game as a single player experience, which I think is wonderful because as somebody myself who was very kind of warded away from an MMO experience and as a Final Fantasy fan, if I'd been told that I could play the whole thing as a single player experience for the story alone, I might have picked it up way earlier and then discovered quite how wonderful this game is. So I think this is a massive step in the right direction for Final Fantasy fans as well as MMO ones. Continuing on from the sort of duty support system, the other thing that we saw that was being done with those new trust characters was a reworked version of Thousand Wars of Totarak, which looks really nice, honestly. And it's an older dungeon, and it's been reworked graphically, and a lot of the larger swarms have been reduced. So that's going to be really interesting, and not only that, but the fact that they've reworked Totarak makes me wonder, maybe they'll rework something else as well? Who knows? There's a lot of dungeons in 2.0, and if they're updating even one of them, that's a good step too. And then obviously with 6.1, as I said earlier, we're getting the new dungeon, the new trial, which is going to be Enticing as Arya. There's a little bit of footage from that later on in the live letter and in the trailer with some new moves, etc. But we've been told it's closer to a Savage than some of the extreme trials that we've seen before. So hopefully we'll get a good challenge out of this. I did kind of wonder as well if the drop rate for mounts from EX1 and 2 will be increased to kind of compensate as well for the fact that we've got the new one, but apparently in previous cycles, because this is the first cycle that I've really paid attention to as it's happened, that didn't happen until 0.2, but we don't know completely until patch notes. So I'm probably going to hold off from farming the Lynx mounts from EX1 and 2 until the full patch notes are released, and then I'll probably just go ahead and do it and not wait for 6.2. And then we also get the new Alliance raid as well, and a new Ultimate duty, and because the Ultimate is brand new, we've been told that, or Joesephyr said that he didn't want to scare people, but because it's a freshly introduced Ultimate that's going to feel a lot harder and a lot more different to an Ultimate like Uwu or Alexander or anything like that, because it's brand new. It's going to be updated very heavily. So it's going to take a while for people to get used to it again. But that's a good thing if you ask me. So we also got like a little preview of more miscellaneous stuff that was going to come around. So the plot sales in the Imperium, so Ishgard, this was honestly going into this patch one of the things I was most excited about, and weirdly after the live letter something else may have taken over it, which is very interesting. But we now know as well how all that's going to work. We did get a lot of information regarding that fairly recently through the website and the news that came from that, about how the lottery system is being imposed, how we're going to see like everything all put together in terms of every plot is going to abide by the lottery system. There won't be some that are, some that aren't. There'll be more plots available for free companies, all that kind of stuff. And we get adventurer plates as well in the portrait editor, which was shown off later on in the live letter, and it was absolutely adorable. And let me just say, as somebody who is an artist and likes to draw things, having these portrait plates as references for artwork that I can do in the future, chef's kiss. Absolutely here for it. The Unending Codex, which is going to be like a kind of glossary of everything that happens in the game is going to be acquired through the 6.1 MSQ, and that's actually very exciting as well for people who want to catch up on certain things that they may not already know lots about, like anything that happened in A Realm Reborn or Heavensward, but they want to quickly read up on it as opposed to go through the whole thing again through New Game Plus or anything that way. Data center travel we already knew about, wasn't happening for a while, but we're hoping that it's going to come out before 6.2. And then we also get new Hrothgar hairstyles, all of which were shown, or a few of which were shown off on the live letter. More glamour plates we did already know about. However, the locations in which they can be used being increased is something we didn't previously, or at least I certainly didn't. And now it's being expanded to all sanctuaries, apparently. So that's going to be a really good upgrade, because there's lots of times where I'm like, oh, I'll just quickly swap my glamour out and I'm in a non-main city and you can't do it, and it is kind of frustrating. The ability to try on items from the FF14 online store before you buy them, which is going to be a part of what's called dream fitting. There we go. And that's going to be another way to kind of play around with some of these items before you purchase them, and you can try them on with your existing gear to see how they look. New idle animation for parasols, sure. Checkmark displayed on items to use to obtain stuff already acquired. This is actually much better than a lot of people think it is. There have been loads of times, particularly with minions, because I'm not super fussed by a lot of minions, but I'll be like, have I got that already? Do I need to pick it up? So the fact that we get a checkmark displayed on items that we already have is actually really nice. And improved market search for items used to obtain those items, also nice. So now we were actually given some updates on job changes and job adjustments to a few different ones, and we were told multiple times throughout the live letter that this is not the exhaustive changes that's being made to each of the jobs, just some of the bigger ones that are about. And some of them are exciting. I'm obviously very much hoping for big changes to White Mage, and there's a couple listed here, but nothing particularly crazy. And we were told again with White Mage in particular, this is not the list of exhaustive changes. Please be patient until the full patch notes. But for Machinist, we've got like increase in potency for multiple actions, which more solidifies its role as just ranged DPS as opposed to ranged DPS support like Dancer or Bard do. Samurai, I'm really pleased with these changes. They're reducing action bloat by getting rid of Hisatsu Kaiten and by making some of the other moves like Midare Sugetsuka and things like that critical hits that are guaranteed as opposed to having increased critical hit range, so that it reduces the wild fluctuation in DPS. And then action potencies have been adjusted to make up for Hisatsu Kaiten being removed. Ninja gets some really interesting changes here. Instead of Trick Attack being the debuffing action that makes your party's damage increase, Mug is being changed to have that instead, which is obviously a 2-minute cooldown instead of a 1-minute one. And then Trick Attack is being changed to increase personal damage. So this is probably going to be a really good thing. On the back of it makes the ninja more self-sufficient, but it also means that because it's on a 2-minute cooldown, you'll be able to line up with other raid wides and stuff much more easily. So I'm really hopeful for ninja here, and if action potencies are being adjusted as well to make up for that, then that's something that could be really exciting for ninja mains. Dark Knight got a change a lot of people were hoping for, which was a increase in use for Living Death, because Living Death has a tendency to be the worst of the tank ultis, as it were. But now you get kind of a blood weapon effect added onto the Walking Death effect, which is the if you get killed while having Living Death, you then go to 0, and then you have to regain all your health back, otherwise you then die. But you now get a drain effect where every attack you do is restoring your HP, so it's going to be a lot easier for you to get back to full HP so that it doesn't kill you, which, great. I mean, if Super Bolide can do that, then Living Death should be able to do stuff as well. Dragoon, shorten the animation lock for jump actions. Now, I looked at this and I laughed, and everyone who was on stream with me also laughed as well, because it was just funny that floor tanking, the biggest kind of enabler for floor tanking, has been reduced, and this just made me laugh. Searing Light now comes out from the Summoner for Summoner changes instead of a Carbuncle, which is going to make it a lot easier for Summoner mains, because they then don't have to worry about positioning when it comes to where your Carbuncle is in relation to you. And because it comes from you, it doesn't say here or there either way, but does this mean that Searing Light is usable when you have Phoenix or Bahama out, or doesn't it? Because I think that that's going to be quite an interesting change if it does. White Mage, you get an extension in range for Cure 3 and Asylum. Cure 3 getting an extension on range is quite nice. And Asylum, sure, yeah, I can deal with that. Liturgy of the Bell can also now be cancelled early to restore HP, depending on how many stacks you have remaining. Was kind of hoping for more from this, but again, we may still see more coming out of it. But judging by just these changes, I'm not going to be changing back to White Mage from Sage just yet. And then Scholar, the effect radius of Sacred Soil has been increased as well. And then Expedience, which honestly was the ability that I saw, and I was like, I might change to Scholar just for this ability before it came out. And everyone was like, no, it's not that great, it's not that great. Well, it's very clearly one of the best abilities in the game because it's just been nerfed pretty heavily. So Expedient is now 10 seconds instead of 20. It's still really good. Scholars are still going to be fantastic, so I really wouldn't worry too much about that. But it's nice to get some information on the job changes, if not everything, because it's not something we usually get in a live letter. Additionally to that as well, there is some adjustments being made to when certain jobs learn certain abilities to make them less boring to play in the early game, so you learn certain actions quicker, but it's going to make an impact on potencies because of that as well. We've also been shown that apparently all healers are going to get some MP changes, and this again was where they were reiterating this is not the final change. I think this is very much aimed at White Mage and its MP kind of issues, which is a thing. And all of the job adjustments obviously going to come out with the patch notes, and they've also tried to reduce the animation lock on both Ninja and Red Mage as well. So I just hope White Mage gets stuff, because I do miss playing White Mage. Even though I love Sage, I do kind of miss switching between the two. So at that point, we were then shown some of the first images of the Myths of the Realm Alliance raid. Now, I'm very excited for this for multiple reasons. I love Alliance raids. I know they're not for everybody because they're a bit chaotic for some people, but I love them, especially given that there's going to be a little bit of lore flavour going into these as well that we've probably not experienced up until this point. And I believe this is being told as an epilogue of sorts to the Heinlein and Zodiac arc, as it were. And this is kind of accentuated by the name of the first part of the raid, which is Aglaia, which is a Greek word or Greek name, and in Greek mythology, Aglaia is one of the names of the three graces, being Aglaia, Thalia, and Euphrosyne. So maybe those are the names of the other two remaining sort of raids to come from this, but also because they're Greek named, that then kind of conjures the imagery of connection with the ancients, because obviously when we go to Elpis, there's a lot of naming conventions that come from ancient Greece, or like Pandemonium, all sorts of things like that. So maybe there's going to be some sort of connection there. We were shown a little bit of gameplay footage from the raid, which looks stunning, it looks beautiful. You know, you can see the screenshot I've just posted up on there as well. And the only other thing we were really told about it is that you can fall off the arena, and you will fall off the arena, apparently, while you're going through Aglaia. But instead at the last boss, you're not going to be falling down, you're going to be burning to death. So there's that to look forward to as well. We were also showcased the new town for the tribal quests, which is the new name for the beast tribes, for the Arxadora, or the Arxadara, which are honestly one of my favourite tribes in FF14. I just really love them. I love their design. I love the music that comes with their sort of vicinities. I just love anything Thavnarian, to be honest. And with that, we were also shown some of the mounts, the accessories, and the minions that are going to be coming with 6.1. And a lot of them were like kind of the Elpis Zoo, as it were. So you've got, you know, the kind of Pegasus looking thing that looks a little bit like R'hllor from the End of Dead Ends, but it's obviously the smaller version of it that you see within Elpis. You get the troll that we saw as well. There's also going to be a hippo mount, which is amazing, and I love it. But honestly, one of the ones that stuck out to me most was a pod from Nier. Now, I don't know, we've been told apparently that the pod is easy to obtain, so my first thought that it was going to be a Mog Station thing, because it's like, well, we're done with Nier. Nier's been and done. They're not going to bring in more Nier content, surely. But the fact they said that it's easy to obtain makes me think it's probably not Mog Station, and maybe it's something you can cash in, like using some of the coins from the raids from the Nier, or maybe there'll be a continuation of the repeatable like dwarf quest that we got at the end of those. But suffice to say, I want the pod, like, really quite badly. And then, as I said earlier, we have the Dream Fittings feature, where you have to go to an inn to do that. They actually did cut off the live letter, because when they went to rest, they then said that, oh, we can't show this because there's new features that we can't show yet, which made me go, I wonder what that is. But then you go into an inspection screen like any other kind of preview gear, that kind of thing, where you can try on things from the Mog Station. And as I said earlier, you can mix and match it with stuff you already have, so you can actually see whether you want to buy some of this stuff. And for me, That's perfect. I don't know about anybody else, but I think that's an amazing thing to do. So really looking forward to that, and just hopefully getting some really nice outfits from Mog Station that they add in from 6.1, because we haven't seen anything from that yet. So again, we were going over the housing and everything that's going to happen with that at this point as well. And just to reiterate for those of you who may not know how the new lottery system works, trust me, it's a darn sight better than standing outside of a house for 8 hours, furiously clicking for you to just not get it. Basically, it's the same thing, except you can do it once and then you walk away. So there's a 5-day period in a 9-day cycle where you can enter the lottery. You pay all of the gil for the house up front, and you get a number that's like an entry for the lottery to get that house. And then once that period of time is gone, there'll be a period of 4 days where the results are given out and the person who actually got the house can claim it. So the only thing I'm not certain now, and if this was stated in the live letter or anywhere else, then do sound off in the comments below and let me know, is whether one person, if they've got enough gil, can put the full deposit down on multiple houses or not, and then just claim one of the ones they win if they win it. And it doesn't matter how early or how late within the 5-day period you put your kind of lotto entry in, your lotto is treated exactly the same as everybody else's. So there's no point really rushing on day one to go and put your bit in for the lottery or anything. If anything, you're probably better off going a little bit later on and seeing which houses may or may not be a bit quieter, so that you can then put your money in and go, maybe I have a higher chance at this one. And then after that 9-day cycle has finished, a new one will begin. So it does sound a bit scary, but like I said, you were basically in a lottery system anyway with the old way, because you were just furiously clicking for 8 hours until it kind of goes live or kind of doesn't, for someone else to get it in front of you, because there's a crowd of 50 people outside a big house. I am really hoping to get a medium or large house from this. If I don't, I don't. I do still have my small house, and I do have a medium house that I can decorate as well. But I'm looking forward to at least trying this new method, because I do think it's going to be better going forward. After that, we were shown what the Alliance raid gear looks like, and I have to say, I kind of love it. Like, it's this golden armor with like a see-through cape for the tanking gear. Like, it's very much keeping in theme with this ancient Roman, ancient Greek vibe of just like solid armor with like toga sort of cloths of like strewn across. Lots of sort of pleating, things like that. It looks really nice. I'm really, really impressed with it. We were also shown like kind of a more laid-back glamour. It's kind of like a jacket, white tracksuit pants and sneakers, that kind of thing, which I imagine is going to come from material from the maps or something like that. Or maybe it'll be Mog Station, or maybe it'll be the new crafter gear. Who knows? And then we also got some imagery of the new housing items, where one of them is a gingerbread house that you could turn your house into, and I'm sure that's going to get abused a lot with an ice cream cone sticking out the side. And we also got like a cherry blossom bed and like a playpen, and lots of people were talking about Lalafell playrooms and stuff like that, and that weirds me out a little bit. But also we got like a pergola and gazebo style thing that looked absolutely stunning, and I absolutely want it. We also got a little bit of footage from Ensinger EX, which it didn't show a lot, but honestly, like, that's the kind of thing I wouldn't want to watch anyway, because I'd much rather be surprised by it. One thing we did get a look at, and I did mention this earlier as well, is the Adventurer plates. So the Adventurer plates are like a calling card for the player that is fully customizable, where you have a portrait on the right hand side that has a customizable frame and is essentially like a miniature G-pose moment, and you also get a profile on your left that tells everybody what your favorite job is, what your favorite like kind of way to play is. You have lots and lots of options of things that make it your own, and there's lots of different plates that you can acquire through playing the game. This is the kind of thing that I think is like really good about any kind of massively online game, is being able to make something your own. And I've played a lot of Monster Hunter, so I know what this kind of thing looks like, and I've played a lot of other games that use that kind of feature, and people lap this stuff up. So this is a fantastic edition, and it actually has applications into the new PvP mode as well, which is also very exciting. And this just being something that you can share out with everybody, color, like changing the colors, changing the frames, changing your pose, changing the portrait, it's all stuff that I thought was really, really lovely, and they really showed this off on the live letter too. So in terms of the game itself, the rest of the live letter was pretty much exclusively looking at the new PvP mode. And I'm not a PvP player in FF14, let me just tell you that. I don't enjoy it all that much, it's a bit too chaotic, it's a bit too stressful, it's just not my thing. Crystal Conflict looks like a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So they've already said that they're rebalancing pretty much everything when it comes to PvP. Every battle job is getting its own limit break as well. Rival Wings is being put on hiatus until 6.2 because the adjustments haven't been finalized for it yet. Ranking system's been completely overhauled. The Feast is ending altogether, which makes me hopeful that they're going to bring some of the mounts back from the Feast at some point. And we've been introduced into a new PvP mode entirely. Now, Crystal Conflict is a smaller scale PvP event. It's 5v5, and pre-made teams can obviously go into it. Each team is formed of 5 different jobs with no role restrictions whatsoever. There are casual, ranked, and custom matches, so they're really going in on this as well. And ranked matches group players of similar skills, so what you would expect from a PvP. And basically what it is if you've played Overwatch or anything like that, it's very stick with your like cart as it goes to the other side, you know, like a tug of war type situation, except it's a crystal. Like, it's FF14 branded. So 2 teams with their bases will compete to get their crystal from the center to their base so that they can win that way and also take out the opposing forces so that they're able to stand with their crystal as it travels back. So it's very, very interesting, and the way that it's presented, like you have the Astra team, the Umbra team, red and blue, and then you have your character portrait coming up in the versus screen, things like that. It just felt very fleshed out, and I was really impressed by what I was being shown, and they did like a load of gameplay footage and things like that. It was honestly really impressive. And then they're completely overhauling the reward system as well, which now has like a battle pass style, which obviously you hear battle pass, you think, oh god, like more money that I have to spend. No, it's nothing like that, because obviously we're already paying a subscription fee. It'd be really cheeky if they turn around and decide to do that as well. You gain XP by playing, and you gain ranks by playing. So stars will take you up like through a sub tier, like between, so bronze 1, 2, 3, silver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you gain stars which help you to rank up, or you lose stars if you lose. Once you hit a certain tier, you can't go back under that tier, but you can go down in sub tiers. So if you've played any kind of PvP game, like a MOBA or like anything, realistically, it's not a particularly shocking way of doing rankings, but it works, and to see it so fleshed out within FF14 I thought was extremely refreshing. And then you get rewards based on how far you get through the season of that battle pass. So if you get to rank 25 on season 1, you get a really cool, very Diablo-esque looking armor that was very cool as well, and you get additional rewards, as well as you get trophy crystals which can then be exchanged in a similar fashion to wolf marks. And they're also bringing back the Garrow event, which was something that came out a long while ago, which was very, like, when I was watching the stream, like, all of the YouTube chat was going crazy over it. It's a TV show in Japan that was very popular, and they made a collab with it so that they could bring all of the armor forward, and, you know, it's very Super Sentai type deal, like transformative armor, tiger faces, things like that. It all look very, very cool, and all the weapons look really nice, and they've readjusted it so that it brings in the jobs from Shadowbringers and Endwalker as well. So loads of really cool stuff to do with PvP, and I tell you something, I've never in a million years thought that one of the things that excited me most about a live letter was going to be PvP. But here we are. And then the last things that were talked about were more merchandise style things. So we're going to be getting a new art book for Endwalker as well, which is going to be called the Among the Stars. And then you get a in-game Ragnarok minion for that. And then they also announced a very odd thing, like the Panasonic Soundslayer wearable immersive gaming speaker, which is, I looked into this a little bit, to tell you the truth, because I was like, I've never seen anything like it. It's a speaker that you wear around your shoulders as opposed to over your head or just having it in front of you, and it's supposed to be this super immersive thing. Retails at £200, so I was like, okay. And then I was looking at some reviews for it, and I will be honest, they weren't fantastic. However, if anyone does buy this, I'll be very interested to know how it performs, because it is available in a lot of countries now. And if you do get it, do let me know how it is, because if it's any good, I might look into getting it, because it's weird and kind of quirky and kind of cool, but I'm I'm into it. They did also announce that they were going to have the Primals go on tour in Japan, and they're also going to do a live streaming, like pay-to-watch event as well for those of you who wanted to watch that. I'm not a big fan of streaming concerts. For me, it's all about the experience of being there. If not, then I would rather kind of watch a music video. But I know a lot of people really love that kind of thing, and the Primals obviously are fantastic. So if you do want to check that out, then they have all of the information on the website for that as well. And then finally, they just kind of announced that the maintenance will be up for 24 hours on the day before, so that when April 12th comes along, we can all jump in and get stuck right into all that juicy new stuff. And then that was pretty much it. And that means that's also pretty much going to be it for this video as well. And I say that's pretty much it. That's about 4.5 hours worth of content that's just been constricted, hopefully rather heavily. But there's loads to look forward to. Honestly, like, the stuff, when they first announced 6.1, I kind of thought, it's not actually all that much content that's going to last us for a long time, like months and months until 6.2 is out, which is meant to be much, much larger. But when you think about it, like, you've got the PvP stuff that could be huge if you're into that kind of thing. The story stuff, there is actually a fair amount that's coming out in 6.15 as well as 6.1 and between it as well. So there'll be a nice sort of steady drip feed of content that's coming out with all of that stuff. But honestly, I'm just excited to get stuck into all of it, and it's not far away from now. We're already in April, so we've only got a couple of weeks to wait. Let me know in the comments below what you're most excited for. For me, it's the housing and the hope that I get a bigger house, because I really, really want one. And then Endsinger EX, and I really do want to give Unreal Ultima Weapon a go. Like, I don't think I'm ready for Ultimate yet, but I'd like to give Unreal Ultima a go. That looks like a lot of fun. And then the PvP mode, like Crystal Conflict, looked like loads of fun. But let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications to any videos I might be making. And it would be lovely to hear from you guys, so you can come and join on our Discord, or just come and chat to me, drop me a message, all that good stuff. So thank you very much for joining in, and I will see you next time. Take care.